Your second income isn't building your net worth. It's a high-interest loan against your skeletal muscle, and the compound interest rate is running at about 12% per year in the wrong direction. Let me draw this out for you. On the left side of this whiteboard, I'm sketching two income streams flowing into a household. Looks great, right? Combined annual earnings of $140,000. But on the right side, I'm drawing what economists call hidden costs and what physiologists call catabolic debt. Here's the bridge most people never see. That second salary doesn't just get taxed by the IRS at your marginal rate. It gets taxed by cortisol at a rate that converts your lean body mass into glucose, your testosterone into estrogen, and your human capital into a depreciating asset. Today, I'm going to give you the exact mathematical formula for calculating your total capital, your combined net worth plus your net health, and why optimizing for one while ignoring the other is the single most expensive mistake you will ever make. My name is Godwin, and I spend way too much time thinking about the intersection of compound interest and compound movements, of portfolio allocation and protein allocation, of financial leverage and mechanical leverage. If you're someone who is tired of building a bank account while your health depreciates, or vice versa, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Now, the two-income trap was first identified by Elizabeth Warren back in 2003, long before she became a senator. Her research showed something counterintuitive. Dual-income families were actually going bankrupt at higher rates than single-income families from a generation earlier. But here's what most people don't realize. Warren's analysis stopped at the financial ledger. She calculated the increased childcare costs, the second car, the work wardrobe, the convenience food, the bigger house in the better school district. What she didn't calculate was the physiological cost of that second income, the cost denominated not in dollars, but in kilograms of muscle lost, in percentage points of body fat gained, in years of healthy lifespan surrendered. Let me draw the real two-income trap on this whiteboard. I'm sketching a simple equation here. Second income minus direct costs minus tax liability equals net financial gain. For most dual-income households earning, let's say, a combined $140,000 with one spouse making $80,000 and the other making $60,000, that second $60,000 income gets reduced significantly. We're talking $12,000 in additional taxes because you're pushed into a higher bracket, $18,000 in childcare, $6,000 in commuting costs, for $1,800 in work-related expenses. That $60,000 becomes $19,200 in actual take-home benefit. That is a 68% effective tax rate on the second income. And most financial advisors stop right there. They say, well, $19,200 is still $19,200. That's still worth it. But I'm adding another column to this whiteboard now. I'm labeling it health capital depreciation. According to a 2019 study published in The Lancet, every additional hour worked per week beyond 40 increases your risk of stroke by 10% and your risk of coronary heart disease by 17%. The average dual-income household with children reports working a combined 95 hours per week. Let me draw what that does to your hormonal profile. I'm sketching a cortisol curve here. This is what it should look like. High in the morning, tapering down throughout the day. And here's what chronic overwork does to it. Elevated baseline, blunted morning peak, sustained afternoon levels. This isn't just stress. This is a biochemical environment optimized for muscle protein breakdown and fat storage. According to research from the University of Chicago, sleep restriction to 5.5 hours per night, which is the average for dual-income parents with young children, reduces muscle protein synthesis by 18% and increases the proportion of weight loss from lean mass versus fat mass by 60%. Here's the thing. When I talk to people about building wealth, they understand compound interest intuitively. They can visualize $10,000 growing at 7% annually over 30 years into $76,000. But they completely fail to apply the same mathematics to their physical capital. Let me draw the compound interest curve of muscle loss. Starting at age 30, you lose approximately 3 to 8% of your muscle mass per decade. This is called sarcopenia, and it's the physiological equivalent of inflation, a silent tax on your physical net worth that most people don't notice until they've lost significant purchasing power. But here's where it gets really interesting. That 3 to 8% baseline loss assumes you're training and eating properly, under conditions of chronic stress, sleep deprivation, and inadequate protein intake, which describes every dual-income household I've ever worked with. That rate accelerates to 1 to 2% per year. I'm drawing two trajectories on this whiteboard now. Person A maintains their muscle mass through proper training and recovery. At age 60, they have roughly the same lean body mass as they did at 30. Person B, living the dual-income lifestyle, loses 1.5% per year. At age 60, they've lost 45% of their peak muscle mass. That's not aging. That's bankruptcy of the body. Now, you might be thinking, Godwin, I can always rebuild that muscle later when I have more time and money. And this is where I need to challenge one of the most dangerous assumptions in both fitness and finance. In finance, we call it the catch-up contribution fallacy, the belief that you can simply save more aggressively later to compensate for not saving now. The math doesn't work because you've lost decades of compound growth. In physiology, we have an identical problem. Muscle nuclei, which are the cellular engines of hypertrophy, are acquired most efficiently between ages 18 and 35. After that, the rate at which you can acquire new myonuclei decreases by approximately 50% per decade. So that muscle you're planning to build in retirement, it will take you 3 times as long to build it and twice as much effort to maintain it. You are not deferring your physical investment. You are permanently reducing your maximum physiological capacity. Let me tell you about Marcus. I'm drawing a timeline here on the whiteboard. Marcus was 34 years old, working as a software engineer, making $95,000 a year. His wife, Sarah, was a nurse making $72,000. Combined income of $167,000. On paper, they were doing everything right, maxing out their 401k, paying extra on their mortgage, saving for their kids' college. Their financial net worth was growing at about $40,000 per year. But Marcus hadn't lifted a weight in 6 years. He was getting 5 hours of sleep per night. His testosterone levels, when he finally got them checked at my recommendation, were 287 Ing/DL. For reference, the normal range for a 34-year-old male is 600 to 900. He was walking around with the hormonal profile of a 70-year-old man. His wife wasn't faring much better. Chronic stress, elevated fasting glucose, inflammatory markers through the roof. I did something unconventional with Marcus. I had him calculate his total capital. On the left side of the ledger, I put his financial net worth. $340,000 in retirement accounts, $120,000 in home equity, $60,000 in taxable investments. Total financial capital, $520,000. On the right side, I had him calculate his human capital. Now, human capital is traditionally defined as future earning capacity, but I use a broader definition. I asked him, at your current health trajectory, how many years of healthy, active life do you have remaining? Based on his biomarkers, his lifestyle, his family history, we estimated 22 quality years, active years where he could work, travel, play with grandchildren, enjoy his wealth. I had him calculate what those years were worth. If you assume a 4% withdrawal rate on his investments, he could sustain about $21,000 per year in retirement spending. 22 years times $21,000 equals $462,000 in total lifetime enjoyment capacity from his financial wealth. But here's what I drew next. If Marcus continued on his current trajectory, losing muscle mass, accumulating visceral fat, degrading his metabolic health, every year of health capital lost was worth exactly $21,000. Every year he could add back through proper training, nutrition, and recovery was worth $21,000. This is where the math gets uncomfortable. According to a meta-analysis published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, every 1 kilogram increase in skeletal muscle mass is associated with an 11% reduction in all-cause mortality risk. At Marcus's current rate of muscle loss, approximately 400 grams per year, he was experiencing a 4.4% annual increase in mortality risk. Compounded over 20 years. That's not a small number. I propose something radical to Marcus. What if Sarah quit her job? I'm drawing the new math on this whiteboard now. They would lose $72,000 in gross income. After accounting for all the hidden costs we discussed earlier, the taxes, the childcare, the second car, the convenience expenses, they would lose about $28,000 in actual spending power. That sounds significant. But look at what they would gain. Sarah would now manage the household in a way that optimized for health capital. She would meal prep. She would ensure Marcus got 7 to 8 hours of sleep. She would manage the schedule so Marcus could train 4 times per week. She became, in essence, the chief health officer of their household. Within 8 months, Marcus's testosterone had risen from 287 to 542 ing/DL. He had gained 4.2 kilograms of lean body mass. His fasting glucose dropped from 118 to 94. His visceral fat, measured by DEXA scan, decreased by 31%. Let me calculate the ROI on this investment. They spent $28,000 per year in foregone income. In return, using our earlier framework, they gained an estimated 8 additional quality years of life. 8 years times $21,000 per year equals $168,000 in additional lifetime enjoyment capacity. But it's actually more than that because those healthier years compound. Marcus was now more productive at work. He got promoted. His income increased by $14,000 within a year because he had the energy, the focus, the executive function that comes with optimized hormones and proper sleep. The net cost of Sarah leaving work dropped from $28,000 to $14,000. And the return on that $14,000 annual expense, if those 8 quality years materialize, that's a 1,100% return on investment. Look, I'm not telling everyone to become a single-income household. That's not the point. The point is that you need to start treating your health as a capital asset that belongs on your balance sheet. I'm drawing a new framework on this whiteboard now. At the top, I'm writing total capital equation. Total capital equals financial capital plus health capital minus lifestyle liabilities. Financial capital includes your investments, your real estate, your business equity. Health capital includes your lean body mass, your cardiovascular capacity, your metabolic flexibility, your hormonal optimization. Lifestyle liabilities are the hidden costs that drain both forms of capital simultaneously. The chronic stress, the sleep deprivation, the processed food, the sedentary hours. Most people optimize exclusively for financial capital while completely ignoring their health capital depreciation. They're essentially running a business that's profitable on paper, but has deferred maintenance on all its equipment. Eventually, the equipment breaks down, and all those paper profits become worthless because you can't use them. According to Fidelity's annual retiree healthcare cost estimate, the average 65-year-old couple retiring today will need approximately $315,000 saved specifically for healthcare expenses in retirement. But that's the average. For someone who's metabolically unhealthy, high body fat, low muscle mass, elevated inflammatory markers, that number can easily double or triple. Meanwhile, research from Harvard shows that maintaining high levels of muscular fitness in midlife reduces Medicare costs by an average of $29,000 over the final 15 years of life. I'm drawing 2 retirement scenarios on this whiteboard. Retiree A has $1 million saved, but poor health. After health care costs, they have functional wealth of about $500,000. Retiree B has $800,000 saved, but excellent health. Their functional wealth is about $700,000. Retiree B is actually wealthier in every way that matters. Now, let me give you the actionable framework. I'm drawing a 2-column checklist on this whiteboard. On the left, portfolio optimization. On the right, physique optimization. These should run in parallel, not in sequence. First, calculate your health capital depreciation rate. Get blood work done. Measure your testosterone or estrogen, your fasting insulin, your inflammatory markers like CRP and homocysteine. Get a DEXA scan to measure your lean body mass and visceral fat. These are your starting metrics. Second, Audit your time expenditure the same way you'd audit your spending. Where are your hours going? How many are invested in income generation versus health capital maintenance? The goal should be a minimum of 5 hours per week of resistance training, 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night, and 30 minutes per day of low-intensity movement. Third, calculate the true ROI of your second income. Include all the hidden costs, financial and physiological. If that number is low, consider restructuring. Maybe the answer isn't quitting the second job, but negotiating remote work, reduced hours, or a role with less stress. Fourth, treat your protein intake like a non-negotiable fixed expense. Just like your rent or mortgage, this is not something you skip when times get busy. At minimum, consume 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. For someone weighing 80 kilograms, that's 128 grams of protein daily. Fifth, implement what I call the health tax on your budget. Before you allocate a single dollar to discretionary spending, allocate funds to health capital, gym membership, quality food, sleep optimization tools like blackout curtains, or a better mattress. These aren't expenses. They're investments with quantifiable returns. Here's what separates the people who build generational wealth from those who just accumulate money. The wealth builders understand that human capital is the foundation. Your ability to earn, to think clearly, to show up with energy, to live long enough to enjoy what you built. This is all downstream of your physical health. Every investment decision you make happens in a brain that's either optimized or degraded. Every hour you work is performed by a body that's either anabolic or catabolic. Every year of retirement you enjoy is a year you either have or don't have based on decisions you're making right now. The two-income trap isn't really about income at all. It's about failing to count all the costs. It's about optimizing for one form of capital while letting another depreciate. And the tragic irony is that the people working hardest to secure their financial future are often simultaneously destroying the physical future that would allow them to enjoy it. So here's my challenge to you. Before you add another income stream, before you take on that second job, before you hustle harder, calculate the full cost. What's the cortisol tax? What's the sleep debt? What's the muscle loss? What's the real return when you account for health capital depreciation? The goal isn't to be rich. The goal isn't even to be healthy. The goal is to maximize total capital, to build an empire of wealth and a body capable of enjoying it for as long as possible. Because a portfolio without a physique is just a pile of money someone else will spend. And a physique without a portfolio is just a healthy person who can't afford to live well. You need both, and you need to build them together. If you want to learn more about optimizing your total capital, I've created a free PDF calculator that helps you quantify your health capital depreciation and set targets for both your portfolio and your physique. Link is in the description. And if this video helped you think differently about wealth and health, hit that subscribe button because I'll be diving deeper into these concepts every week. Now, go build something worth living for